How's it going, guys? This is Lord Laverne, and we're back. And today's episode, we're gonna talk about instant dates. So when I wrote this guide initially, I did not have this instant date chapter planned. However, as I was writing it, I realized it's essential for your success to do instant date most of the time or half the time for you to increase your chances with meeting your date. So this video is very long. So I'll try to start, but and then try to break it down. But anyway, guys, so make sure you're following the guide sequentially because we have this video is 6 out of 14. I've added 14 chapters now. Alright, let's go at it, guys. So my friends, let's continue with this cold approach series. This video is the 6th in a series. I expanded the series since I saw that instant dates were a crucial chapter that needed to be added. Calibration and listening are going to be essential to succeed. Most of the successful sets that you will do will only take 15 minutes. The first 5 minutes opening complemented logistics, and the last 5 minutes future plans, concrete plans, and getting a solid number. Then the instant date should take you another 10 to 20 minutes. So I'm just giving you timers, guys. So if you watch the previous video, like 2 videos ago, what's going to happen is you open, you complement it, you get to know her logistics for the first 5 minutes, and the next 5 minutes or 10 minutes, you honestly 5, just get, alright, 5 or 10, get the future plans, which is what is she planning to do, and then set up concrete plans with her, like, oh, I'm going to meet you, we're going to continue with the punk concert, I'm going to meet you at a punk concert on Friday. And getting a solid number, and then you should be pushing for the instant date or going for the instant date half the time. There will be times where you won't be able to get it, but usually just go for it, and that's another 10 to 20 minutes. So what we're gonna look at, it's about like 30 minutes, 30 to 40 minute set, more or less. A successful set, I'm thinking something like 30 minutes, like the first 15 minutes just doing all your reconnaissance, and then like the next 15 just doing the instant date, something like that, 30 to 40 minutes. So you guys have an idea, because most guys don't really have that practical insight, like, okay, this is how long it should take. So make sure calibration and listening are essential, so make sure you're aware of that. As we read, like, it'll become more clear. So note on number closing: before you go on an instant date, make sure you text yourself through the girl's number. I usually ask the girl to give me her phone and text myself. Some people might think this is pushy, but it guarantees that the girl will have your number. So guys, so in a previous episode, I didn't add the whole number closing stuff because it's not I didn't forget, but I thought you guys knew it, but then I realized, oh wait, they're beginners, they probably don't know it. So what's gonna happen is, like, sometimes the girls will give you their number, but then like they won't text you, because they're like, oh, whatever, you know. So you need to make sure to text yourself, and this is a strategy to do it. So some people might find this pushy, but it's guaranteed that girl will have your number. I tell them, hey, my phone's acting kind of weird. Can I check like your phone? Most of the time, the girl will give me her number, and I'll just text myself. It's because sometimes the girls might say, sure, I'll text you later. Most of these girls meet a lot of people in a day, so sometimes they become indifferent to losing a person or two. So what's gonna happen is sometimes, like, the girl likes you, she's like, oh, okay, cool, and then I'm like, hey, what's your number? And she gives me her number, and then you text her, and she's like, yeah, sure. But then, like, sometimes either she gives you a fake number, sometimes it happens, they're like, whatever, like, I mean, he's fine, but I don't want to hang out with him. Or the girl's gonna say, like, she just forgets about it, so she gets, like, the wrong number or something like that. Like, lots of things can happen, but, like, the strategy to counter this is just tell her, like, hey, my phone's acting kind of weird, can I write my number there? And so you, like, write your number on her phone, and then, like, you just text yourself, you know? So I've done this before, it works, and this is, I bet it's like an advanced tactic some of guys might do. I think J-Mo addressed it, like, somewhere, or like other people as well have mentioned it. So just make sure, like, she has your number, you know? But don't be, like, extreme, because some guys are gonna, like, mess it up. Like, just be, like, smart about it, you know? Like, it's not even a big deal. Some girls are like, oh yeah, sure, you just have my phone, and then, like, you just text yourself, you know. But like honestly, it's not a big deal, and like a lot of girls are like, oh, it's no big deal. Yeah, sure. So because it's carelessness, you know. It's not like that she doesn't like you. Sometimes, like, they just forget or stuff like that. So there will be times where once you build a solid commonality, get a solid number, and then you're 10 minutes in a set or 15 minutes, and then bounce. 30% of the time, this will happen. So this outcome is actually not as common as some people might think. It mostly happens when a girl has to go somewhere like a class, a trip, or a meeting. Say, for example, if you approach her at 11 a.m. and she says she has to go back to class at 12 p.m. Another would be if you're approaching foreign girls, if she says she has to go back to her hotel to check in her room. This can happen, however, if all the sets you're doing are going to this nature. This might be a red flag that you're doing that sets wrong. So sometimes a girl, like you meet a girl, it's 11, and she's like, hey, I need to check in at a hostel or something like that at 12. So then she really has to go. So then, remember guys, that listening and calibration, you're like, oh, sure, don't worry, like, go ahead, you know? Then just get her number and bounce. So if she has a class, if she's a local girl, she has a class, and then she really has to go. So that socially calibrated thing is to just let her go, you know? But like, however, if all your sets you're doing are going to be of this nature, there should be a red flag that you're doing this wrong. Since if that girl likes you, she would want to spend more time with you, or at least a little bit more time, especially if she's a tourist. She's looking to make friends. There's a different game style. So yeah, guys. So if she doesn't want to hang out with you after, it's kind of weird, you know, like not weird, but it's just like it should be like a warning. Oh, maybe like I'm doing something wrong, you know. And I know, yeah, and check that previous episode so like you try to fix what you're doing wrong. So since she's looking for, usually most of the girls who are tourists are looking to make friends, so she wants to like at least hang out with you for a little bit more, you know. So there's a different game style where a guy will approach a ton of girls, get their phone number, and text them, and some of them will reply. However, I feel this is more of a night game type strategy, since a day game there's less sets for this type of mass approaching. So I know like some really guys who are advanced, like who are really advanced, or whatever, like honestly not advanced, but some coaches, what they do is like they mass approach a bunch of girls, get their number, and then some of them will be hitters, others will be misses. But I feel this is more of a night game thing, you know, because in day game there's less people, so you just do the sets that are there at the mall, you know, like there's like 2 or 3 girls, and yeah. However, it's important to be calibrated. If you hear a girl that really needs to leave, it will be foolish to keep persistent, and you will hurt your chances, or she of seeing her again, and she might see you as someone inflexible. So what happens, guys, as I said, like just be aware. If she really has to go, just let her go. If not, then try to hang out. And let's continue. So outcome 2, there will be other times where you can and should do an instant date 50% of the time. And I think this is true. Like nowadays when I'm doing game, like 50% of the time I can get the instant date. So many times you go to the park or the mall, and the Starbucks or Jamba Juice is clearly visible. You should be able to get the instant dates. For instance, you go to Las Vegas, there's a mall where you can go, like everybody goes to that mall and like to game, and then there's clearly a Jamba Juice right there. So if you see that Jamba Juice there, you should always be trying to get the instant date. This way of doing sets, wrong way of doing sets is to approach a girl, get her number, and then leave. Especially if she doesn't give you a good reason as to why she should leave, like in outcome 1. Likely most of these sets will not proceed. I have seen a bunch of students doing this during the day and getting numbers and nothing comes out of it. Then some student or coaches will say, well, at least you're getting practice, bro. However, I don't view this as a success or good practice. So what happens, guys, a lot of guys who are new to the community or even intermediate, like most of them, what they will do is they'll get that number and then they'll leave. You know, even if they stay for a little bit longer, you know, they'll still leave. Like they will try to push for that instant date. And what happens often is that they feel elated, you know, they feel good, like, oh, I did it. But then like the girl never texts them back, and they have way too many of these texts. Like they're like, hey man, I mass approach like 20 sets, got like 10 numbers, but none of them like reply. It's because like you didn't build more of a connection, especially like going to that Jamba Juice or like the Starbucks, you know. And it really doesn't matter, like, okay, you get a lot of practice, but practice for what? You know, like, what's the point? So, instead, your approach should be good enough, and venue, Starbucks, Jamba Juice, or others is visible. You should always be going for the instant date. The instant date allows the girl to get to know you a bit better. It also builds more comfort, since she gets used to be around you on a different setting. I believe this is true, by the way. Like, and I know, like, I feel like this is a bit contested, but I do think that if she's seeing you in a different setting, like it builds even more, like more of a commonality, more of a co relationship that, oh, he's moving me around and stuff. But it's not always like this, but moving to a different location does work in the day. Also, if a girl is a tourist, why would she hang out with you if she thinks you're cool or interesting? So this is something, guys, like, to me it's kind of obvious. If she thinks you're cool, why wouldn't she hang out with you? You know, like, unless she has a good reason not to. Like in outcome one, like most of the time she should be like, yeah, I'll hang out with you, I'll go to an instant date. So how to run an instant date. So this could be a whole separate video. And actually I was thinking of making a separate video, but I don't think, like, I want to, like, don't want to make this super long, alright? So however, for the sake of brevity, I'll write it in here. What you want to do is just get a small treat, like a coffee or a tea, and let the girl decide who's going to pay. Since some of them really want to pay while others really don't want to pay, I will tell them, up to you, whatever you want to do. Since some coaches will say you pay and lead, while other weirdos online will want to get the girl to pay because they have this gigolo fantasy, whatever. Like, there's a lot of weird people online. Phil Experience has told me to let the girl decide on what she wants. You know, just don't be weird. Don't try anything too crazy. Actually, don't try anything crazy. Just take the continuation of the previous interaction at the park or the mall. Expand, for instance, this is a complete example. Expand on the event that you guys are planning to see, for instance. Say you agreed to go to a punk concert. I would take my phone and show them the songs of the band that we're talking about, like the Ramones, Sex Pistols, the Clash. So some coaches will advocate for thesis in this situation. They'll be like, well, if you're building comfort, why shouldn't you tease that girl now? Like, however, like, I had experiences where, like, this girl was in my bed and I never did any teases nor necks. So it shows theoretically that you can actually, like, skip teases and necks. I'm not saying always skip it, but, like, it's possible to do it. From my whole experience, teases, wittiness, like all this stuff has more misses and hits for the average guy. Because, like, there's guys who, oh, I just want to be an attractive guy, I want to be this charming person, you know, like, and obsessed with that. Well, I'm saying, like, hey, you can just be an average guy, and as long as you're moving things forward, it'll happen for you, you know? So anyway, in brief, get a coffee. So pay attention to this, guys. Get a coffee. Solidify the commonality. Like, play music or talk the language you both like. For instance, she likes foreign language, you can use that as well. And then bounce, you know? Like, so just get a coffee, solidify the commonality, and then bounce, you know? Like, don't overthink it. Like, this is a key part, you know, of that instant date. So the rare set, where you can hang out all day or take her back to your place. So 20% of the time, this is a set that almost no coach has talked about. That you have a lot of experience, you will run into this type of set. The chances is increasing if you're approaching girls who are tourists. For instance, one time I ran into a German girl and she was visiting for a few days and we met on the street. And then I got to do an instant date since Jean Bayous was nearby. Then she told me she was going to a bunch of historical landmarks of the city. She said, you should come with, and I said, sure, let's do it. Should I be like the coaches who say, don't go, bro, since you have to practice your game? Like, you need to open more sets? Haha, no. I went and kept hanging out with her almost all afternoon, and then we went for sushi, in that I did that day too and continued. So guys, so what's gonna happen is sometimes the girls who want to hang out with you, especially if you're going after tourist girls, they'll be like, hey, let's just hang out, you know, like I was with a German girl, and she said like, hey, let's just hang out and go eat sushi, like out of the blue, you know, 'cause she just wanted to meet friends, so I'm like, sure. But like, people say, oh, it's platonic, bro, but it's not like that, man, because like, I turn things around, remember, that knob, not the switch on and off, you know? If she's in your room, are you also gonna say like, oh, but like, it's too platonic, bro, like, come on, man, like, anyway, so just keep it going, you know? So I've done this with a bunch of Eastern European girls as well. We all went to the movies. It's definitely possible. The only caveat I would add is that I would try to get them back to my place. Back in the day, I wouldn't, since my logistic situation wasn't ideal. However, if you maximize your logistics, sure. The coach would say, well, it's just platonic, bro. Not really, because you can keep building a connection with her. So yeah, like, just continue. The other objection might be that bouncing her from one menu to another is not ideal. And my view is that in night game, definitely, you shouldn't be doing it, because the girls are drinking and all this stuff, so you shouldn't, like, be like moving her so much. Should be trying to get it. But in day game, it's early and she wants to hang out with you, you should go for it. As long as you have the back of your mind the goal of getting her back to your place, since it solidifies the interaction. And you should also add that you're trying to get her close to your place, or ideally just back to your place. Anyway, guys, this is a really long essay. Maybe I'll do this as 2 parts because I'm really running to get all of this. But anyway, guys, so I'll see you in the next video. This is Lord Laverne. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. And if you didn't pay attention to anything, just make sure, get the coffee, solidify the commonality, and play music. Take care, guys. See you in the next video.